it had sort of physical effects which were sometimes really funny and sometimes really almost disturbing. But
Can you be more explicit? What sort of a? You told me that your hair started to grow faster or something like this.
well, it didn't. I don't know if it grew fast, but it was one time I was in a coffee after these meetings, and I had some Scandinavian students. This was the Icelandic guy who was just playing on me and doing something with my head and hair, and it just went like this up there, and I had a long hair that time, and it was really terrible because the whole coffee house there, everybody's watching me, and somebody shouted, "Are you on acid or something?" I said, "I'm not on acid or anything." I ran to the toilet, took the water, and combed my hair and put it back. But and there was something like then my friends, when I met them in the street or in a coffee place, they said, "Well, you look radiant." I said, "Okay, thank you." But there wasn't that kind of an effect. But the funny thing was with Muslims, Islamic people, because they noticed it better than English people. Like Sunni Muslims, they just greeted me on the streets like they have these two fingers on their tear and a bow. They did that on the street, and that was a bit confusing.
Spontaneously.
There was this one Finnish guy who wanted to have some Finnish company. I didn't meet much Finnish people that time. I was there half a year. But this guy was just sort of, he couldn't speak much English and he didn't have friends, so I took care of him sometimes. He was really confused because people were bowing at me on the streets. We were walking, "What's going on?" He was said, "I can't explain, I don't know what they do." Well, that kind of stuff happened, and I think this effect lasted like years. It slowly goes away, but it lasted like years.
What did you talk about with Peter, and what sort of discussions did you have?
It was mainly like spiritual teaching and ideas, and some of it was, we didn't even talk. We could have like small talk, but the whole thing went on another level. They gave me a lot of information which I only lately, like 40 years later, I have sort of tried to open my mind and realize what really happened. I just sort of, I was like a sponge, sort of getting into things, and they were somewhere there for a long time, and now things have changed because they contacted me like 5-6 weeks ago in June 2011.
No, recently.
Very recently, yes. Yeah, and they took me somewhere in the countryside too, and they were testing me. They weren't like these abduction things, anything physical. They were testing me sort of how I can handle things and things like that. And they gave me some information which they told me you will understand much later.
How did you meet them now recently? Did they come to you in a physical form?
No. They are not on this planet anymore. Wherever they are, but it was the last spring because I started to be more active in internet and getting friends from the UFO community all over the world, and I started to be a little active about it, and I realized it's going to change, so I have to open my mouth someday and talk about this. And that time I didn't know who was sending the message. I knew it came from the Starpeople, but not like exactly who. And I had some messages that wait for June, don't be impatient, wait for June. That was the message. And June came, and it was a new moon which started. It's like 2 weeks from new moon to full moon that time before midsummer. and that was a really intensive time.
Mm.
And I just woke up the night after new moon, and my first thought in my head was Peter and Eve, and I felt such a joy. I knew that when I wake up in the night time when I've been sleeping, they have contacted me then. And all these memories started to come back, and I thought about them all day, and then like evening, like 6 o'clock, something like that, I suddenly realized the channel is open. They are there. I could see them almost like it was a astral image, so to speak, but I could see them, yeah. And it was a funny thing because they actually called me in a way, but for me it was like calling to old friends that you haven't seen like 40 years. And I felt a little bit shy, and I thought that I was quiet a little moment. Then I said, "Hey, it's Visa here. Do you remember me?" And I like that.
Mm.
And there was so much cheerful joy coming to me, and I said, "Of course we remember you. How are you?" Not they didn't ask how are you, but they said. Now I have to explain one thing. This kind of conduct doesn't happen like speaking language. They didn't send me sort of language into my head. I have to speak because I said something in English in my mind, because I can't do that kind of thing that they can. But they are understandable things. They come to your mind, and they were happy about it that I was getting active in this business, because they felt that it's times are changing, and there's a lot going on this planet, and it's important every person who can do something about it, that people would realize we are not alone in this universe,
So
and
now,
there are others.
so now when they contacted, they had this message that they think on the star people think that some sort of a disclosure maybe is happening, or people's awareness of UFOs and aliens and so on and so forth is like a thing you need to involve
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, and it's happening. I've been thinking about this disclosure thing, and I don't think there will be like a press conference. Mr. Obama comes and says, "Hello, there's something I'd like to tell." It's not going to happen like that. I think disclosure is going on all the time, all around the world. This interview is part of it, and just a little bit, but it's something. And people all over the world are going to tell us stories like this. People are going to open it. It's going to spread. And you will see more lights in the skies in the nights. And you will see in the daytime UFOs. They're coming more and more. And there's a change coming. There's certain groups that have been sort of a little bit troubling our planet. They're going to leave. They have to. And these star people are coming back more and more. They had a time when I met them in the 70s. There was more of them here, and most of them left because this atmosphere turned to be very difficult. But now they are coming back.
Yes.
The great shift is coming.
The great shift indeed. So many of it, of the change, so much of it is talked about now in the UFO community, and many people think, or have the idea that maybe 2012, December, and the Mayan prophecies and so on might have something to do with it. And what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I don't think that 20th of December next year will be. It's a day like any other. It's happening all the time. I mean, it takes years, and it's the end of an era and new era beginning, and mankind has changed the course. It can't be business as usual. It's over. We have to understand it. And we have a lot of problems to solve, but with goodwill we can.
Yes, indeed we can.